Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Hanley Effect. I'm John Dyben.
I'm Rachel Docekal.
How you doing, Dr. Docekal?
Hi, Dr. D. How are you today?
I'm very well. We talk a lot about being parents,
Mm.
right? So we're both parents. You have young adult kids. I have young adult kids. I also have, kids that are still at home and adolescents. And, there's so much going on in the world with them today that I'm really,
Amazing.
really excited and grateful for our next guest. If I can start to
Please
speak
do.
English,
I am
if I can
super
start to
excited.
talk, that would be great. So our guest today we have Austin Davis. He's a licensed professional counselor. He's the founder and CEO of Clearfork Academy. And we're going to talk about what that program is. And we're going to talk about adolescents and adolescent mental health and the things that are going on in our world today. Austin, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. It's gonna be awesome.
It is. Like I said, we're both parents, and I still have kids at home as well as adult kids. And what we'd like to know, we just would love for you to tell us about what you're doing, who you are. Tell us a little bit about the academy and what's happening there. And we're also really interested in your journey. What got you to where you are today? So I'm gonna just be quiet and turn it over to you.
Well, first off, I'm dad. I've got three kiddos. One's 13, is my son, and then 11 and 9, two girls. And so,
Great
uh,
ages.
Yep.
yeah, we're in the thick of it. So it's pretty fun, man. Where to start with all that? That's a big open-ended question for the beginning. Um, my undergrad is in pastoral ministries. I really thought I was going to work at the local church. And be a youth pastor. Like that was kind of, 15, 16 years old. That's kind of where I thought my life was going to go. So went and did 4-year degree and felt super underqualified to jump into that field and go right into things. And so went to seminary. So you guys have a lot of education too, right? So I just stack things on and
Hmm.
kind of whatever. So yeah, went to seminary, did a master's in divinity. Again, really thought this trajectory was gonna land me in some local church and do ministry of some sort. And as I got to do that job, the kids and families that I was working with, when the house gets caught on fire or the kid runs away or somebody gets pregnant or there's a fight, like we won't open up Romans and exegeting,
Right.
whatever. I was
Right.
going, I was sitting down with the kid going like, what the crap's wrong with you? Right? Asking more intelligent questions than that, right? But and so that just kind of blossomed into a new skill set, and went back and got a master's in counseling, and that led to psych hospitals, that led to case management, all the grunt work of early, master's level clinician type stuff. And so moved. I did all that. I grew up in Fort Worth, did all that in East Tennessee, came back to Fort Worth, started working again, kind of public mental health, and then got the opportunity to open and run an adult treatment center, substance use treatment center. And so it's 18 and up, men only, had a faith component to it. So it's just kind of like perfect, except for like, I had no idea what the big book was, and
Well,
how how to treat addiction, and like I had had a
those
slew
little
of
things.
books. Yeah. So I just dove headfirst into it. Read the book forwards and backwards. It's kind of fun to lead step studies and big book things as a normie, and as a 28-year-old, and I got a 58-year-old saying, I got shoes older than you, and I was like, yeah, but this is your ninth time in treatment. So how about we listen to somebody different? Um, yeah, and so I did that for about 6 or so years. Ended up kind of running everything inside the four walls, building curriculum, building buildings, like the whole nine yards. And kind of had this entrepreneurial moment. It was like, why don't I do this on my own? Um, and this kind of nagging calling to work with youth was still there, and so I had this treatment experience and this youth pastor kind of calling, and get to smash them together. Because what I was hearing in the therapy group rooms every single week was John tell a story over here. And I'm like, hey, when did that thing start in your life? And he was like, oh, when I was 14. And then Bill's like,
Right.
holy crap, that happened to me too. I was 11. And then Mike is like, oh, I was 17. So it's like these 40-year-old, 50-year-old dudes, lives are ruined. They're in treatment. They've got kids, they got businesses, they got this wake behind them that's just full of destruction, that they're harboring adolescent, trauma and wounds and stuff. And so our whole name, Clearfork Academy, is just that, right? Like if we can create an off ramp in these kids' lives, that's not 30 years beyond the trauma. We create a better world for our kiddos, right? And for our future families. And so, it's an indirect cause, but can we reduce divorce rates? Can we reduce bankruptcies? Can we reduce, you know, uh, abuse or shootings or what, like if we can get our adolescents, on the right track at an early age to deal with their stuff, they get better and our communities get better. So, uh,
That's so there's a parallel, the largest organization that does this kind of work in the United States is Boys Town. And it's Father Flanagan's Boys Home. And that was Father Flanagan's story in 1918. He was out trying to, help people who are homeless. And at some point he said, I see these, little boys running around the street and I wonder if I could help them. And Boys Town became this incredible, but that was the same calling. He knew he was called to make the world a better place, but he saw at some moment that my calling was actually to start with these younger ones. That's a beautiful parallel. And I love the name too. I wondered.
That's a great name.
That's a fantastic, it's such a fantastic picture because we always come to forks in the road, but saying that, clarifying it, like here's some clear direction for you. So Clear Fork then tell us a little bit more about it. Is this residential, boys, girls, both?
yeah, so we started in, so fun story, right? Like, so in 2016, I literally had my career, just like set in front of me, feet up on the desk. It was a well-oiled machine. And I come home to my wife, who was about 8 months pregnant with our third kiddo. I was like, hey, I think I'm gonna quit my job. And we're we're gonna sell everything we own and we're gonna start our own treatment facility. And she
And she's
was
still
like,
your wife. She's still your
it
wife.
we just celebrated 20 years in,
Come on.
July. So
Come
it
on.
was fantastic. It was, just 20 years. It just flying by. So yeah, she goes, yeah, I kind of felt that in my spirit too. Let's go do it. Right. So we literally sold our house. I sold my truck. It's like a country song. So um, we buy 35 acres out on Eagle Mountain Lake, which is just north of Fort Worth. We live in, it had three houses on it and a big barn. And so we lived in one house. We started with 8 beds, boys only, and then we had staff in the other house. And so that was kind of year one. Year two, census doubled. Year two, three, it doubled again. Year four was like COVID. Um, and then the phone keeps ringing with moms with teenage daughters, and they yell at me like, "Why can't you take my girl?" And I'm like, we're boys only." So we had about 32 residential boys, and so about 60 miles south, well over 2.5 years ago, we bought kind of like a little mini ranch for girls, and so now we have 40 girl beds, um, and now 2 outpatient locations. So we kind of have this continuum of care that takes kiddos from all over the nation. And so we can start them with detox or like a mental health stabilization, primary residential, and we can step them into partial or IOP, and then all the way out to virtual individual talk therapy kind of stuff. So, um,
Austin, how long are they with you in residential?
so after being a clinician for almost 20 years now, I have compiled all of our stuff into like a 13-week scope and sequence. So we have core values, clinical interventions, and life skills that we kind of weave through their day to make sure that we're hitting all the things. And so if all the factors go right, 90 days in our residential program is our ideal length of stay. So
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
At Hanley, we start at 45, but we are primarily working with adults. So we see that 56-year-old, 58-year-old that you were talking about, that so many times the stories do go back to um, times in their young life.
mhm, yeah.
What I mean, that's a lot of beds. It's a lot of kids that you guys are seeing. What what trends are you seeing? What are the kind of things that you're seeing? And are there things that you're seeing that are changing as our world changes today?
Yeah, so I try to funnel that kind of down into one philosophy is kids are always trying to ask the question is who am I? Um, and if that is unanswered, then what I do, who I hang out with, uh, all those things are kind of unanswered, right? So like if I tell like I've played sports my entire life. I'm 6'4", 220 pounds. Like, like I look like an athlete, right? And so people will walk up to me and say, "Hey, what sport did you play?" Like I'm still 40 something years old and get that question a lot, right? So, um, if if I didn't have that belief about self, I wouldn't work out. I wouldn't coach my son's basketball team. I wouldn't go to sporting events. And so identity really shapes the how we live out our life. And so if that is um, uh, unformed or nebulous or weak, then our kids are shaped by anything, right? We know the access to the phone is kind of ruining our brains and our culture, right? They're just manipulated by YouTube and TikTok and the Instagram, like all the things of people telling this younger generation to make dollars, who they are, right? You're this way, so buy this thing. You're this way, so buy this thing. So they're just pushed and pulled in every single direction, right? And so um, I don't think our communities are built for um, much direction in shaping those identities, right? Like most of American Western culture aren't. If you're in some little subsect, then there's probably some intentionality, but yeah. So
It's funny. I've been saying for a long time. I'll see people come into treatment all the time and they'll have the tattoo "To thine own self be true," and what I find is that way more often than not, they have no idea who mine own self is, and so that happens, and so we see adults that are in that same thing. There's a lot of talk about increase in mental health problems in adolescents, specifically anxiety and depression. We're seeing, the literature and the scientific reports are saying that that's skyrocketing. Are you seeing that? And if so, what are is it just those factors that you were talking about?
yeah, I mean, it's you know, uh, Texas is way behind on the mental health side of things and having licensure to properly treat that in residential. And that's another soapbox for me. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no longer like a single diagnostic criteria. It's all dual diagnosis, right?
Right.
It's both and. It's like you can't just treat the thing anymore because we're dealing with kids and there's no frontal lobe. They're always fight or flight when they come to us, right? Like um, they're in need of big help, and so um, we have to address that. We've got psychiatry and nursing and all master's level clinicians, right? So we're not just saying, hey, don't do drugs, right? Like the the dare era is way over. That
Right.
doesn't work. So we're really trying to look at the deeper issues of the heart. And that's kind of where that identity conversation comes back with 25% of our kids are adopted. So, not only is there the nucleus of the family, but this other family that abandoned me, you know, uh, or mom or dad. And so, uh, we really have to answer that question over and over and over, and nurture that timeline. That's why we need 90 days, is because for the first 30 days they hate me. And everything that we try to offer the second 30 days is like, we're just trying to figure out, like, we're throwing stuff against the wall, what's sticking in the treatment plan. And then we're hopeful that the last 30 days is about applications. Like, okay, like, you've been swinging the golf club wrong your whole life. We got your feet stand. We got your hands in the right place. Now we're hitting balls in some sort of rhythm down the fairway. Um, and so that's what we're trying to do every single day with these kiddos.
So, Austin, talk about the work that you do with the family unit. So, we've been focused on the young person, but talk about the work that you do with the family.
Yeah, so my training was, family systems and then substance use kind of adjacent. And so, love families. We can't, our philosophy is, we're not treating the kid, we're treating the family unit, right? So the
Good, good.
first, first phone call isn't little Jacob saying, "Hey, I need treatment." No, it's mom, right? And then you hear the pathology on the phone for 48 minutes, and you're like, "Oh, I know why your kid does drugs," you know? Um, so um, we do weekly family sessions. So we're doing groups and individual and all the boilerplate treatment stuff. But then we're assigning a therapist to the family unit, having weekly family calls. It's probably 50% therapy, 50% case management, and the whole thing is like a triage, because families are a lot more than not, right? We've got a mom and a dad who've been divorced and they hate each other, and then the other, uh, relationships and marital partners jump into that. So we're really treating two families,
Right.
um, in this process. And one family wants them to be in treatment, one family doesn't, and then you're to blame. So you got all the family dynamic stuff. So we'll do that weekly. Um, and then we'll do a 2.5 to 3 day family intensive every 6 weeks. So if you're there, 12, 13 weeks, you'll get a ton of engagement. We'll do psychoeducation the first day, and so families alone in a big conference room kind of setting, and we're just force feeding you why your kid is here, what is the function of addiction and mental health, and the family unit. Sometimes the first time they've ever seen a genogram or something like that.
Mhm.
Second day, we get out all the tissues, and we start to process. We put them up in like little small groups, um, kind of do an Al-Anon meeting. And so we're now going, oh crap, that I see my part in that. And just the waterworks happen. And day three is merging the kiddo and the family, and doing that thing all over again. And if it's at our boys' campus, we'll put them up 40 feet in the air on a high ropes deal and make them yell and cry, and all the things come out at once. And so bring them back down, and then de-escalate and implement a plan. So a lot of work.
So yeah, you talk about it, and you've been doing it for so long, and you've got that anybody could listen to you and go, "Yeah, that sounds like a piece of cake." But
Yeah.
what you're talking about is what you're describing is really intense and difficult work, and work that requires, as a therapist, it requires a lot of presence, a lot of patience, a lot of intestinal fortitude a lot of times, especially when you get the whole family there. So I
Yeah.
love that picture. That's
Mhm.
I was gonna ask the
Yeah,
same.
it's an event, right? It's a all hands on deck. I mean, our culinary staff get involved, our back office staff get involved. So it's really like a red carpet experience for us to be able to do that. And then we're all exhausted afterwards. So then
Right.
we
Oh,
get,
yeah.
yeah.
So, I'm a parent. I have a teenager. I have adult kids too. What, especially though, as the parent of a teenager, what are the things that I should be looking out for today? What are the things that I should be watching for, kind of red flags, things that should concern me?
I'm going to answer that kind of in a different way, and kind of, I think there's two conversations that you need to be having. Um, and I call them shoulder to shoulder or knee to knee. So you guys right now look like you're driving in a car, you're shoulder to shoulder. And these are the conversations that I have. My son, he just met the height and the weight requirements to drive in the front seat with dad, and so
Right? Big deal.
those are shoulder to shoulder conversations. And so um, and parents need to be good at open-ended questions, right? This not just how was school, fine. Um, when you're shoulder to shoulder, when you're doing activities, we ride bikes, we shoot basketball, we drive in the car, like we're always shoulder to shoulder doing something at Costco, pushing the cart, needed to ask questions. Hey, bub, did something scare you today at school? Or give me a time when today you felt whatever. Looking for a narrative, not just a response to, break the silence in the car or whatever. But I want to know my kid. And in order to do that, I've got to ask those sort of open-ended questions, right? And so we're doing that day in and day out. So that's that first conversation. Um, and the questions to ask in that are, um, looking for those signs and symptoms, right? Depression, anxiety, worry, fear, bullying, a change, any kind of change in behavior. We homeschool, so it's kind of controlled area.
Mm,
But private school, public school kids that are being educated outside the homes, I would look for change in people, places, and things, right? It's always pretty standard. So did your people change? Right? And did your places change? Like, hey, why am I picking you up at the bus stop and not over here where we have for the last 2 years? Oh, well, the bus stop kids I like smoking weed with, like,
right, right.
so looking at those, having those shoulder to shoulder conversations, you begin to kind of piecemeal some data together about what has changed people, places, or things, right? Like school, grades. If you played the tuba and you love the tuba, now you're not playing the tuba anymore, right? So you're data gathering in those shoulder conversations so that when a time comes, you can have knee to knee, right? So we know instantly if you guys, turn your chairs knee to knee, look each other in the eyes, like there's something biologically that happens, right? We do that in group, like everything changes, and so the tone and tenor of those conversations are different. And so I like to educate our parents to go into knee-to-knee conversations with a theme that's written out. And maybe I've gathered some data in our shoulder-to-shoulder conversations that I'm going to bring into, okay, son, you've been late, the last 10 curfews, your eyes are bloodshot. I don't know where my credit card is. And this, and it's all undergirded, not in emotion, because those are hard conversations to have. And so having families write out the script and use I statements and those standard communication techniques help our kids feel loved and cared for and not just shamed and belittled and you're an idiot, I can't believe you're my kid, you know,
Right.
all those kind of things. And so having those things, side to side or knee to knee, I think when you have those frameworks on a regular basis, um, very rarely do you end up in my treatment facility.
Yeah. Love
That's
that.
so powerful. And what I love, and I love about, and we have on our adult program, we have a 5-day family program. So as a family member, you come, and for Monday and Tuesday, you're getting a lot of stuff, all that psychoeducation. There's so many similarities. But there are patients in there also, but not the patients you're related to. So you're getting the perspective from people without all the emotional baggage, And then Wednesday and Thursday, it's exactly that. It's all about knee to knee. It's about, we do exactly the same thing. It's so funny you would describe that. We have them write out, they've got a packet and everybody writes out what they, and it, I'll have people all the time be like, well, that just doesn't, that seems impersonal. And it is what you're describing, and we see it with adults. So I can only imagine with families with children. It is so wildly powerful because of exactly what you just said. It when you write it out and you read what you've written and you're knee to knee, there is something that speaks to somebody that that you have to almost experience it to see how powerful but you're right. There's that, well, I mean something to you. But I think the key is that it's something that you're giving people the ability to learn a skill. That knee-to-knee skill probably hasn't been happening a whole lot by the time they get to you,
That's
and
right.
so it's not just doing it in your facility, but man, if you can give people the ability, "Here's how you do this at home, and here's how you do this in your life," it's so powerful. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
So I know
You're the bad
I
guy.
am. I always have to be the bad guy, right? I have to be the our time watcher. I really appreciate. I will tell you. I hope I get out. I'm gonna try to get out to see your this program here.
Now
Yes.
let's make it
Um,
happen.
because really good, good adolescent services is it's very difficult. They're and we're always looking for, because I'll get those calls all the time, and there is not a whole big list of people who are doing what you're doing and doing it well. But we like to shut me up and to give our guests the last word. And so our audience is, it's pretty broad. It's we know that we have mental health professionals, people who have nothing to do with it, people who are in the recovery community, people who are just interested. So I want to just give you the last word and ask you, what would you like for our audience to hear from you today?
Ah, man, I just I'm a very hope-filled person, right? And so whoever is listening, right, like wherever you're stuck, um, at a crossroads, Jeremiah 6:16 gives, it's kind of how this whole thing came about. There's kind of five elements of leadership or self-leadership. First one is stand, like be present. Um, if life is chaotic, then it's hard to make a decision. Look, like open your eyes, observe, because when we're in chaos, we tend to, we know our pupils like narrow, and we get tunnel
Mhm.
vision. So do good observation. Number three is ask. Ask good questions. Ask things outside of yourself, right? We get stuck in our own little cycle and we forget to ask, oh, you know, and then walk, take action. Really take action. When you're stuck at a problem, take action. May it be small, it's still forward. And then lastly, rest. Take time once you've done the work to do self-care, to sit back. So, um, yeah, that's it, man. It's like anybody who's making a decision right now, that little leadership nugget is kind of how I lead my life and lead our team and help our kids with that framework in everything they do. So,
I love that.
Wonderful.
Austin, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your time. I do hope to get out there and see what you guys are doing one of these days. Dr. Docekal, thank you. Fun
Dr.
as
D,
always.
this was wonderful. I loved it.
Me too. And for everybody who's listening or watching, thank you for being here. We'll see you next time on the Hanley Effect.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for joining us for the Hanley Effect. To learn more about our programs, visit hanleyfoundation.org or call 844-502-4673.